Hello, my name is Carrie Hunter, and today I'm going to be talking to you about sexual assault and domestic violence intervention. So some common terms before we begin are DA, which is domestic assault, DV, domestic violence, SA, sexual assault, SV, sexual violence, and IPV, which is intimate partner violence. So what is sexual violence? Sexual violence can be defined as a continuum of behaviors such as attempted or completed rape, sexual coercion, any forms of unwanted contact, and non-contact unwanted experiences such as harassment. 1 in 5 women experience attempted or completed sexual assault in their college years, and more than 6% of men experience attempted or completed sexual assault in college as well. What is domestic violence? Violence committed by a partner in the victim's domestic circle. This can include partners, ex-partners, immediate family members, relatives, and friends. DV is used when there's a close relation between the offender and the victim. In the United States, a recent study estimates about 35% of women experience intimate partner violence in their lifetimes, and that study was conducted by the CDC. And 25% of these women experience severe intimate partner violence in their lifetime. Intimate partner homicides comprise 45% of all femicides of women who were killed by a man that they knew, and 65% of these women were killed by a spouse, ex-spouse, or current intimate partner. So this is the power and control wheel. It has 9 different sections. So going around right here is physical abuse, isolation, emotional abuse, economic abuse, sexual abuse, the use of children, threats, using citizenship or residency privilege, and intimidation. I'm going to break down each part in the next couple of slides. So physical abuse is when a person hurts or tries to hurt another person by hitting, kicking, or any other form of physical force. Isolation is keeping her or him from friends or family members. Emotional abuse is non-physical behavior that belittles another, such as insults, putting somebody down, verbal threats, threatening and degrading. Economic abuse is when a partner has control over their partner's spending and economic resources. Sexual abuse is any form of unwanted sexual touch. And then continuing, using children. This is very prevalent in immigrant communities. So it's using the children as pawns, and their spouse or partner threatens to move the children from the home, to call ICE if they're not there legally, and they use the children to pin them against their partner. So threats, using works that are generally considered insulting or racial, that's intended to insult or intimidate their partner. So much like number 6, number 8 is using citizenship or residency privilege. So it's failing to file the proper paperwork for citizenship and threatening to call police on immigration, pending immigration status. And number 9, intimidation, is acting in a way that inspires fear or demands great respect. So this is one prevention plan that was made up by the CDC, and it's called Stop SV. The S in Stop SV is promote social norms that protect against violence. So 2 ways you can do this is by bystander approaches and mobilizing men and boys as allies. The T is teach. Teach skills to prevent sexual violence. And this can be done through social emotional learning, teaching healthy, safe dating and intimate relation skills to adolescents, promoting healthy sexuality, and empowerment-based training. O is provide opportunities to empower and support girls and women. So this can be done through strengthening economic support for women and families, and the strengthening of leadership and opportunities for girls. P is create protective environments, improving safety and monitoring in schools, establishing and consistently applying these policies in workplaces, and addressing this issue on a community level and risk through environmental approaches. And then SV is support victims and survivors to lessen harms. This can be done through victim-centered services, treatment for victims of sexual violence, and not sexual violence, I'm sorry, support victims, and treatment for at-risk children and families to prevent the problem and behavior, including sex offending. Other programs and intervention policies are safe dates, shifting boundaries, green dot, second step, student success through prevention, coaching boys into men, and bringing in the bystander. So moving on to sexual violence, I specifically want to focus on campus because we are all college students, and I thought it would speak to us more and how we can implement these practices and intervention policies into our lives. So preventing sexual violence of all types requires a shift in culture and climate, and prevention happens before the event occurs. And this is why the development of Title IX actually came about, because it prohibits sex-based discrimination of any educated program that receives funding from the federal government. So the main intervention practice I'm going to be focusing on today is titled Sexual Violence on Campus, Strategies for Prevention, because it outlines a framework for sexual violence prevention efforts that include 5 components that I'm going to be breaking down in my presentation today. And this is comprehension, audience, infrastructure, partnerships, and sustainability, and overall evaluation. So to begin, the first step is comprehension. The comprehension prevention is strategies and approaches that complement and reinforce one another. And this is through individual to relation to community to societal. The individual part is build bystander intervention, healthy relationship skills, and establish positive norms about gender, sexuality, and violence with evidence-informed, interactive, as well as multi-sessional intervention for incoming students. Relationship is coach-implemented intervention for male athletes, addressing hyper-masculine peer norms that support or facilitate sexual violence. And then additionally, dorm-based intervention that reinforces positive norms and skills that relate to the bystander behavior and healthy sexuality. So next is community and societal. So community is to have engagement on campus with leaders to promote culture and safety and respect. Societal social marketing campaign to address norms related to sexual violence, gender, and sexuality. And hotspot mapping to identify and monitor unsafe areas on campus. And societal is community initiatives to implement and enforce alcohol policies, even though not all incidents happen under the influence of alcohol. It does play a huge role into this. So efforts to reduce excessive alcohol use or problem outlets, and the strengthening and support enforcement, response, and reporting policies on and off campus. Moving on to infrastructure. Infrastructure is the basic organizational system and structures needed to effectively implement sexual violence prevention strategies on a college or university campus. And this is done through well-trained staff, use of standardized training, hire dedicated prevention staff, institutionalized prevention, and create a team, work group or committee, foster relationships with referral services, incorporate violence prevention with other prevention programs, use of a trauma-enforced approach, and work across all types of violence. Next is the audience. Audience can be defined as broadly refers to the target audience, obviously. This includes the recipients and observers of the prevention messages, campaigns, and strategies. So it's very important to remember that the messenger matters. So you have to tailor prevention efforts to specific communities, plan for differences in types of institutions, engage parents as an audience, use proactive and social media, and encourage active and invisible bystanders. Next is partnerships and sustainability. Partnerships and sustainability is the development of healthy working relationships with community stakeholders and partners that can be strengthened, coordinated, and aligned prevention efforts in order for them to be more sustainable over time. So this is to ensure leadership's buy-in, create permanent staff positions, and engage students in planning and programming. The last step is evaluation. This is essential to public health practice that identifies what is working and what is not working with programs, policies, and practices. So rigorously evaluating the promising prevention program, practices, and overall policies, focus outcomes on reductions in perpetration, create capacity for evaluation, value participatory research, require logic models and theories to change, and build connections between research and practice. So this is something else I really want to stress is campus efforts to stop sexual assault before it happens. So I used 3 examples that I found on some independent research. So Minnesota Campus Sexual Violence Prevention Summit. It was the implementation of effective comprehensive program that they implemented across all, campuses to address sexual violence, as well as North Carolina Collegiate Coalition Against Domestic Violence Model Campus Policy. And then this is another one. So affirmation consent policy within the State University of New York SUNY. So this requires all New York college campuses to mandate effective consent for sexual encounters. It offers students like amenity for certain campaign policies and violations. And the main thing I really want to focus on is right here. The definition of consent does not vary upon a participant's sex, sexual orientation, gender, identity, or gender expression. So my questions for my project is 1, what is the % of women that experience IPV in their life? And my second question is, in the Stop SV method, what is the T? Break down what the T means and how it can be implemented. And these are my references, and I want to thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.